counting stacks. Counting stacks.
for me. Now put your hands in the air. Show me what you got, baby doll. Now dance for me.
How about now? Does that help? All right. Now I get an echo, though. I can deal with that. All right. So tonight's the review. So just to catch up. So the test is Wednesday, online. It's from 8 to 9 o'clock. It's going to be timed. You won't have a problem. You won't have a problem now. There's plenty of time. It's either going to be, I haven't even started doing it yet. I'll do it tomorrow. It's either 40 or 50 questions. It's probably going to be 40. Multiple choice, true, false. Okay. So it's online. You guys cool with that? Any questions about the test itself? Okay. Did you guys get a chance to see Social Dilemma? What's your thoughts? To me, one of the things when I watch that is like a lot of that stuff like we kind of know, and it's intuitive, but when you put it all together, like and watch it like, condensed, it's like whoa. You know what I mean? I think a lot of it we kind of know, but when they put it all together, I think it hits you like a 2x4. What else did you guys think? What'd you think? You didn't watch it? Who else watched it? You watched it? What'd you think? Who are you? You're Crystal? Okay. It's the first time you're here? Oh, okay. Okay. So, Crystal, what'd you think? Yeah. Yeah. All the bullying and stuff. Did you guys pick up the advertising stuff? That's the reason I want you to watch it, right? So what did you pick up about the advertising? What's that? It's everywhere, right? And who's the ones who basically started all this? The advertisers. So once social media got so big, advertisers jumped in and it just feeds the monster, right? What else did you guys think? Any takeaways? Last class, I had a couple of people say they're cutting their social media off, which I think is, you don't want to do that, but it is something. Between that and what we saw, last class, you guys need to watch it. We talked about that. That's any other takeaways from it? Okay, so if you haven't watched it, you need to watch it because there's going to be there'll probably be at least a couple questions on the test on it. Okay, so please watch it. Yes, ma'am. Are they going to be what? Oh, no. No. I think it'll be relatively easy unless you didn't watch it. Okay, wait a minute. I forgot. Hold on. Okay, you guys online, do me a favor. I'm going to go through, sorry, I should have said this to start. I'm going to go through the class right now and get their questions, and then I'll come to you guys online and ask you for your questions. And if you want to make comments on Social Dilemma, if you got a question on that, we'll get to that. I just think it's easier to get the questions from the people in person so we're not duplicating. Okay? Okay, anything else on Social Dilemma? I don't want to beat a dead horse. You guys all cool? Any comments? Okay. I also want to mention LinkedIn. And I should have said this the first class, and I apologize. Well, two things. One is I don't do LinkedIn. I'm in LinkedIn, but I don't pay attention to it. So I'm old. I don't need to. I had a buddy who gave me a T-shirt that says I don't need any more friends. She made a T-shirt for me. But I'm old. So is everybody here on LinkedIn? Who's not on LinkedIn? Okay. You guys not on LinkedIn? Okay, do you guys understand what LinkedIn is? You understand what LinkedIn is, buddy? Why aren't you on it? Are you? So you're worried about the history. You don't think the history is good enough. Okay. I think even if that's the case, you still need to be on it. So LinkedIn is what's happening. I mean, especially for people in college, you're trying to get your first or second job, everything is going through LinkedIn almost. So not only should you be on it, but you should be kind of active. It's amazing. One of the things LinkedIn does is that you know her and she knows him and he knows her and she works for someplace you want to go to work for. You know, it's one of those deals. So you know how the connections work in that thing? Have you been on LinkedIn? You know how the connections work on the right hand side? So there's a lot of, I mean, you just have to be on it. So you guys need to get on LinkedIn. All right. Even if you don't have a job history, I still would recommend getting on it. But I don't do it, so I apologize for you guys. Some of you have asked to hook up with me, so I don't do that stuff. Okay, so I think that's it. What questions do you guys have? Yes, ma'am. The country, culture, and okay, so you guys online, the question has got to do with culture. So the way I answer these questions usually is I try to have the class help me. So let's start with this. That's a tough one, by the way. You came up with a good one. How would you define, before we go there, what does culture mean? You guys remember when we talked about culture? What's culture mean? Do you remember? What's culture mean? That's for a company. She's asking for culture, regional versus, what'd you say, regional versus national culture? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, how do you like being from the South? Yeah. What does it mean to you to be from the South? Go ahead. Go ahead. How about the cost of housing? How about the cost of housing? How many generations of family do you have here? You do? So you're a Southerner from way back? Okay, most people are not. So the North would be the opposite of all that, right? So when we talk about a regional, let's talk about regional first. So somebody from New York City is totally different than you, okay? So how are they different? First of all, a lot of people, let's just use New York City, but a lot of the big cities, they go back 6, 7 generations, you know, so they don't leave because they're so strong with their families. So here, in my opinion, people are less strong with their, when I talk about families, I'm talking about generations and generations. You'd be, I think, you'd be not the common. You know, the common is people like me who moved from Chicago or Northerners coming down here. So the culture up north is not the case. I mean, nobody's moving up north. People are moving from the north to the south. So when you start marketing the cultures like New York, you talk about family. They're massive in sports. They're more emotional. You know, the cost of living is so much higher. The weather sucks. You know, all of that advertisers take into place. And the example I gave was, I remember giving this example, my little water purification company, the guy who heads up our training is a battalion chief from Gwinnett County. And he's got a big time Southern drawl, big time. So the people in New York and the North think that we're all a bunch of rubes. You know what a rube is? You know, they think we're all a bunch of rednecks, racists, you know, backwards, because of a lot of it's how it's portrayed in the internet and on TV. So I can tell you that in the North, they think Southerners are not their. A lot of Northerners think Southerners are not their equal. You know, the schools aren't as good. I can go on and on and on. Why they think the schools are way better in the North than they are here. So we can go on and on. There's positives and negatives of both places. So when my guy, who's got a big Southern accent, and I have to train, we have to train somebody in Boston, I'm not sending them up there because they won't respect him, right? They won't. But on the other hand, if we're doing the South, this guy's fantastic, by the way. If we're doing the South, they love him. So that's where culture impacts people. That's regional. Country culture would be how the United States is different than Peru, you know, or other countries. Our culture is one of, for instance, work ethic, So we have one of the highest work ethics in the world. Us and probably some countries in Asia. I could tell you, I've been in countries, they're drunk at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's just their culture. Like Ireland, their work ethic is terrible. The pubs all close at 11. In Ireland, when you stay at a hotel and you start drinking, they close at 11. You can't get out. But as long as you're drinking in the bar, you can drink all day and all night. Somebody from the front desk serves you. So it's a cultural thing. So for them, like the ability to interact with other people, the ability to live off the land is different. So all countries have different cultures. In the United States, we talked about assimilation and acculturation. Do you remember that? Okay, do you remember what those two are? Difference? You need to know it because that's probably going to be a test question. Yeah. Right. That's exactly right. Did you hear what he said? It's like if you go into a grocery store, now we've got all these ethnic sections. 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have any freaking ethnic section. But now people are tending to bring their culture to the Korean culture, Mexican culture. These cultures are way different, completely different than ours. And I mean, I know a lot about Asians. I could spend the rest of the class talking about Asians, how they think and how they work. And, like Korea, so Southern Korea has been invaded 405 times. South Korea. You know what they're waiting for? 406. That's how they think. We don't think that way. Our country is only 200 years old. So it's just a completely different mindset. So acculturation is when people come to the United States with their culture, and assimilation is when they come to the United States and assimilate to an American culture. Big difference. Thanks for your help, man. Okay, you got that? Did that help? Okay. Next question. Yes, sir. Okay, another good question. Okay, you guys, so the question has to do with, it's called pass-through rights, okay? So pass-through rights, just like it sounds, pass-through rights. And it's important kind of to know this because this is how business works, at least from a marketing standpoint, like on these big things. So it starts with Coke in the Olympics. So in order for Coke to be the soft drink of the Olympics, Coca-Cola gives the Olympic Committee hundreds of millions of dollars, okay? And for that, they have the right to use their logos. They have the right to be associated with the Olympics. Like Pepsi can't do anything with the Olympic logos, or nobody. So Coke in the soft drink category is exclusive. They pay $500 million or whatever. I forgot what we pay, okay? So, well, what's the benefit of that? The benefit of that is the Olympics is the number one image. Disney, Olympics is number one. I think Disney is two in terms of people hear it and it's a positive reaction, okay? So one of the benefits of working with the Olympic Committee, the $500 million or whatever it is, it's a ton of money. You're never going to get it back on advertising. So what you have to get it back is with the trade. So they go to sales guys like me, and Coke gives us pass-through rights, and I pass them through to my customer. So I'm able to go to Piggly Wiggly, right? And I hope I didn't make it too complicated, but I got the women's softball team, okay, which was a big deal. So we got the women's softball team. So I took the women's softball team to Piggly Wiggly. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is they were flying all over the country doing guest appearances. They were doing tournaments in the cities. We had incentives. We had display programs all around the Olympic softball team. So for 15 months, I was able to get that activity because what happened? You remember what happened? How this whole thing started? How'd the whole thing start? Do you remember? You guys remember how it started? One of my guys came to me and said, what? You guys don't remember? So one of my guys came to me and said you remember? For how long? Very good. Exactly right. So he came to me, came to my office and said, wow, we got displays in all Piggly Wiggly for 4 weeks. I said, well, that's awesome, right? But I said, wait a minute. What happens if we make Piggly Wiggly the Olympic supermarket? So when consumers go in that store, they think that that Piggly Wiggly is the Olympic. Now, Piggly Wiggly hasn't paid $1 for any of this, right? They haven't paid $1 for any of this. So in return for us to giving them the pass-through rights, then they give us shit. I got the 4th of July ad. I got more space in the stores. I got little coolers in all the stores. So it's a whole negotiation thing. Okay? So that bears the question. Who asked it, buddy? That bears the question. What's the tactic and what's the strategy? What's the strategy? What did I just say? It's Olympic supermarkets. You guys got that? The strategy is to make Piggly Wiggly the Olympic supermarket. Okay. The tactics would be what? Give me an example of a tactic. What did I just say? Okay, but so give me an example of a tactic. That's right. Well, give me an example of a tactic. Okay, it's okay. So you got the strategy part. You got that right. What's it? Well, give me a tactic. So the tactics would be putting. It wasn't really the signs in the store, but we got displays in all the stores. We got incentives. We had the players go to the stores. Those are all tactics that contributed to hopefully making Piggly Wiggly the Olympic supermarket in consumers' eyes. You got it? It could have been a million tactics, right? It could have been a million strategies. But once you develop that strategy, then the tactics come from the strategies. Now, I went overboard. Where do we want to start if you want to have a good career? Why is that? Who said that? Why is that? Okay, the strategies, you guys, are the big ideas. They're the big ideas. Remember, I talked about, and I actually did this. It was kind of, I guess it's kind of hokey, but I asked my guys at the end of the year to write down what they did that if they weren't in the job would not have happened. So say somebody got 4 more feet in Kroger, Coke space. So in Kroger, we got 4 more feet. And whoever did it, if he wasn't in that job, we would not have gotten the 4 feet. Something he did gave us more space. Well, that's what he gets paid for. People don't get paid for maintaining. I'm talking about once you get up the ladder, right? They don't get paid for just doing a job. Anybody could do a job for 60, 80 grand, whatever it's going to be. In order to make big money and to increase through your career, you've got to come up with big ideas because big ideas separate you from everybody else, right? So you try to start with a strategy, which is not easy because most people don't think this way. It's very difficult. Matter of fact, most people don't think this way. But you got to try to think about the big idea, and then underneath the tactics, what do I have to do to make that big idea happen? What do I have to do to make sure that happens? And then before you know it, a year later, not only do you have displays in all the stores, you got all this other stuff that happens. So you want to try, if you can, the big ideas come from strategy. Did that answer your question, buddy? Yes, sir. Okay, so to be clear, which I wasn't, the Coca-Cola company gave the Olympics $500 million. So within the Olympics, there's these different sports: track and field, say Summer Olympics, track and field, basketball, volleyball, right? So I wanted, me being a salesperson at that level, I wanted the women's Olympic softball team because of their women, right? And I was trying to sell women. Whoever said that, whoever said women were seen in supermarkets, and they had won 4 gold medals in a row. Okay, so I wanted them, but I could have taken the volleyball team, and I would have done the exact same thing with the volleyball team. So Walmart might have, I don't remember what they did. Walmart might have had let's say Walmart had the volleyball team. So my peer who worked with Walmart was given volleyball by the Coca-Cola company, and they went to Walmart and did as much as they could tactically, right, to make that investment in volleyball work. The $500 million was not from me. $500 million was from the company to the Olympic Committee, and then we had the rights to all the sports. So different salespeople, Target, Walmart, this was Piggly Wiggly, Costco, whoever it was, they got their sports if they wanted them. A lot of people didn't want them. Because this was like a lot of salespeople are sales. This is more marketing than sales. And we're going to talk about sales in this class, and we'll understand the difference. But I just want to make sure you understand the $500 million was from the company to the Olympic Committee, and then these. I actually forget what the hell they're called. There's a name for what they're called. Like, I don't know what they're called, but volleyball's one, basketball's one, right down the road. Okay, do you understand? Did I explain that? Okay, now wait a minute. So now the question is, just ratchet up your question a bit. How do we know the $500 million was a good investment? How do we know that? So remember let's go, it's a little bit of an analogous thing. We went to say, how do you measure the effectiveness of an internet campaign and advertising? What do we say? Do you remember, buddy? How do you, just give me examples, remember? Clicks per minute, it could be clicks per page, whatever it is. It's soft stuff, it's not sales. Because so many things are contributory to sales going up or down. And advertising with the Olympics is kind of the same thing. You don't know. A lot of it's got to do with first of all, the biggest thing is ego. That's the biggest thing. So this chairman of the board of Coca-Cola does not want to lose the Olympics to Pepsi because that looks like shit to the shareholders, to the employees, to everybody else. So the biggest thing is politics and ego. Okay, it's not whether the $500 million works. Then after that, you have to figure out, is it a good investment or not? And I'll give you an example. Coke used to have almost every sports stadium. So like if you go to Mercedes-Benz, it's all Coke. There's no Pepsi in there, right? And there's a bunch of signs, and we pay millions of dollars a year for that. We had almost every stadium in the country. And that was in like the 90s. But they did an analysis, and basically, in some cities, it wasn't worth it. So, some cities might be asking for I'm just making this up, $3 million, and we're going to do this and do that, and it wasn't worth it. So we didn't do it. But at one point, because Coke was so anal about trying to dominate, it would be an investment in the brand, and it's a way to like demotivate the competition. It's a way to motivate your people. There's a lot of reasons to do stuff like that doesn't have to do with sales. Yeah, it's not a cold war. It's a hot war. So soft drinks, I'm not saying this because I came out of them, but soft drinks this is true. Soft drinks is considered to be the most competitive industry there is. Soft drinks and cars. I told you guys I didn't have a Pepsi product for 26 years, right? I told you that. Yeah. I mean, it was not, it's serious. Yeah, because a lot of that is building the brand. If you go back to the first couple classes we talked about, why is Coke such a strong brand? And it's because over the years, we've done all this goofy stuff in order to position the brand favorably in people's minds. Now the brand is still strong, but consumers have changed and people are drinking more water and stuff. But I mean, just from a brand standpoint, Coke brand is still pretty good. And it's because of all this stuff we did over the years. And some of it is investing in things we shouldn't have invested in. If you just looked at the payback, not worth it, if you're in a heavy coke market, for instance, Memphis, Tennessee, the guy in Memphis, Tennessee, the Memphis bottler who ran Memphis, we have a massive share there. He used to go pick up the Pepsi vending machines and throw them in the river. And he did that. He has so much power in the city that none of the politicians or anybody, cops, he literally got drunk with his guys and took a truck because there wasn't that many Pepsi vending machines. And it was just, it's a mentality. And Pepsi, I'm sure, did the same thing to Coke and Pepsi markets. You know, so it's a lot of it's got to do with that brand, man. You don't want to lose that brand. You don't want to lose that dominance. Yes, sir. Who had a hand up here? Who asked that question? You did. You started this, right? So that did I answer your question? Okay. Yes, sir.
I got it that you said that patents are only as good as
Defend them, right?
Yeah. What?
Okay. Another guys are asking great questions. This is Steve's opinion. So let's take my little water purification company, small company. If I patent my products, which I thought about doing, okay, I get a patent, that's cool. But if the market is big enough for somebody like General Electric or, I don't know, some big company sees our products and says, wow, those are badass products, they just copy them, okay? They violate the patent. So now what am I supposed to do? You think I have enough money to sue GE? No. That's what I mean. So you have to have enough money to defend them. That's what I meant by that.
So in chapter 5, talk about strategy target market over undifferentiated, concentrated, and then multi-segment.
Mm-hmm.
We also talked about how marketers and advertisers look at the different financial classes.
Yep. Yep.
How do those strategies align with financial classes?
Yeah, well, normally what happens is one trumps the other one, right? So say the most important thing is I just made it socioeconomic classes, right? So say you want to market to upper middle class incomes. But then you say, okay, within the upper middle class incomes, I'm going to differentiate, or I'm not going to differentiate, or I'm going to concentrate within that economic area. So the two come together. And it's just a way of making a target market tighter. Go ahead and get another one.
Yeah, and then you also talked about what chapter about it, talking about it, but you talked about how people, not so much about targeting them based on their personality, but lifestyle.
Oh, you got to know what that word is.
That's the word.
Oh, 100% this will be on the test.
Right.
What's the word? Psychographics. You're doing good, man. You are. You are. Don't mess this test up. Okay, psychographics. That's all right. So what's the difference between that and demographics? Kind of. Lifestyles, you guys, somebody pushed back on me, and probably rightfully so. I forgot who it was, somebody on this side of the class said lifestyles. When I use the word lifestyle, it's probably too strong a word, but I don't have a better word. I'm trying to explain it. Like video games, mountain climbers, people who parachute. You know, I had to laugh. Well, it's not. It's yeah. But if you market to that group, there's 400,000 people in a Facebook group that have fat cats. Okay, great. Okay, so I'm glad we talked about this. So so demographics, you guys understand demographics, black, white, male, female, right? You got that. So psychographics is a way of segmenting a group based on my term, which is lifestyle, which is probably too strong a word. because I'm using lifestyle as somebody who's really into video games, the one I was talking about. So somebody's really into video games. I mean, that's what they do, right? They go to school or they go to work, they come home, they can't wait to do video games. Video games, like, one of the most important things in their life. So the psychographics is not individual versus group. It's identifying people in video games. And if you're selling something that people in video games like, whatever it is, if you can market just to video game people rather than the whole market, your money is much better spent. So it's not about individual versus group. It's about marketing to a group of people who have similar, I'm calling it lifestyle. Does that help? Tangential? Okay.
Are targeted ads more like the other than
Targeted ads. What's the full question?
they have to like for targeted ads to work, they have to know. So on that side,
What did I say? For the most part, what did I say is better? In terms, why is that? Because I said video games. So let's use you. You're a white guy. You're Hispanic. Hispanic female, white guy, black guy. 3 of you. Totally different. Okay? Totally different. So if I'm marketing on demographics, then I've got 3 different people looking at things 3 different ways. It could be a white male product, right? And they don't give a shit, but I'm marketing to them. But if I'm selling some product that video game people are really into, and the 3 of you are video game people, that trumps demographics. Psychographics is a much stronger bond than, say, females. Just because these 2 are females, that doesn't mean they think the same way. You know what I mean? So psychographics is a way to better target. You use the word target. Better target your consumers based on what I said is a lifestyle, something that's really important in their life. Scuba divers. And somebody said hobbies. Some of it's hobbies, but some of it might be based on religion. How about, there's a lot of religions that are very orthodox and very Mormons, for instance. Is anybody here Mormon? So Mormons, Mormons, if you're selling to Mormons, you almost have to be a Mormon. They take care of themselves. They look after each other. It's something that is pervasive in their life. Okay. So if I'm selling a product and I can get the Mormon leadership to say, this is a great product, end of story. Doesn't matter whether male, female, Hispanic, or whatever it is. So that's a good example too. So it could be religious. It could be anything that bonds people together, regardless of what they look like. Yes, sir.
I wrote down loyalty measured by 2 price points.
It depends how you look at it, but let's define it. Okay. So it's on the 3rd price point they change. So I don't know if you want to look at it as 2 or 3. I don't know. But on the 3rd price point they change. So remember, I used a TV, right? So TV is $500, and price points are made up by the industry or by the retailer, or it's something that evolves based on their customer base. So if the price point is $20 and a TV costs $500, and you're Sony versus Vizio, and you're loyal to Sony, when the Vizio goes to $480, you're not changing. When the Sony goes to $460, you're not changing. When the Sony goes to $440, you can change. So I don't know if you look at that as 2 or 3, but that on the 3rd one is when they change. The 3rd price point. And remember, price points are just determined by consumers and the store, and it's not anything that's it's not a formula. And for instance, in 2-liter Coke, it's a dime. On 12-pack Cokes, 12-pack Cokes was a quarter usually. It just depends. Yes, sir.
About the format, will questions be more based on like terms and definitions, or will it more laid out like give us a real life example and you're saying what marketing or what advertising strategy?
Yes. No.
Is there
No, I don't know. I haven't put the test together yet. I don't know. If you come to class, if you attend class and study, you should do pretty good. My goal is, I try, although I'm sure I don't do this, because you have no idea how hard it is to put together a test. It's fair. I told you guys that's why I curve. I try not to be anal. I don't give a shit if it's 6 and I say 7. I try to make the questions conceptual. So at the end of the semester, it's not about formulas and all that other stuff. Hopefully you understand concepts, because in this class we cover so many subjects and we don't cover any of them deep. You know what I mean? The whole class is like that. So although I'm sure I'm going to make a mistake, I'm sure. I try not to. I try to make it conceptual. Now, definitions like psychographics versus demographics, that's going to be on there. I mean, you're going to have some quote unquote definitions, but it's psychographics or demographics, even that's almost conceptual. You know what I mean? So some of that stuff you got to know, but that, I don't know. Yes.
What chapters need
Oh, I don't know. Again, I haven't done the test, but some places where I get people get caught up, students get caught up, is if I say something or I write it on the board, like what I just write up there. What's that? Pastor writes. Yeah. Is that in a PowerPoint anywhere? Okay. So why did I put it up there? Not necessarily. I put it up there because somebody asked a question. I think he asked a question, and that's the right term. Pastor writes. Concept, right? Concept. So I am kind of a jerk. And you guys, I'm old school. I told you it's the first class. You need to come to class, either on the internet, which is fine, or here. The people who don't come, I try to screw them. I mean, I don't know what to say. You go to college, go to freaking college. You don't want to come, don't come. So I don't know, buddy. In terms of chapters, the only thing I would say is I don't know about the chapters. I don't even remember it's funny, you're saying chapter 5. I couldn't even tell you what chapter. I don't remember what chapters are. But it's like if I write something on a board or if I say something to make a big deal out of it, you should pay attention to that. The chances of that being on a test are greater than what's in the PowerPoints. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason I say it, because I'm trying to emphasize a point, or it's something I want to talk about that's not even in the book. Most of it's that, and a little bit is I want to make sure that there's questions on the test that are not in the PowerPoints. That's secondary. The most important thing is I'm trying to make a point on something. It's not in the book. The book's not the greatest in my mind. I don't think. You cool, man? What else? Yes, ma'am.
I remember you were talking about the baseball and the diamond and all that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember what we were talking about? What's that got to do with anything? What's a baseball diamond got to do with anything?
You were saying how our generation starts at big 2 now, and you used to start at big 1. But
No, we started home plate.
home plate.
Yep. You understand home plate, first, second, third, baseball? Okay.
That something about how a lot of people say
Second.
every stuff.
Right. Does this have anything to do with marketing?
I don't know. There's
It has nothing to do with marketing. Could it be on a test? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So if I ask a question on a test about baseball diamond, if you know, people aren't going to know what the hell I'm talking about. Awesome. Now, you don't quite understand it though, right? Which is fine because it's a little complex thought. And you guys on the internet, I'm writing this down later on. If you don't understand it, please ask, okay? So you got to base, this has got nothing to do with marketing. This is just Steve's, Steve's deal. Okay. You guys, let's start with being smart. You people are so much smarter than I was at your age. It's not even funny. Okay? Because of the phones and the laptops and the way you're raised and how aware you are, you're way smarter. I was way more naive at 19 or 20 than the average 19 or 20-year-old is in here. Okay? You know, now if you want to shop, you want to buy a laptop, you go on a computer, and Google in 5 minutes, you find out what the best laptop is. You know, when I was your age, you couldn't do that stuff. I'm talking pre-computer. So my point is a baseball diamond. This is home, first, second, and third. Right? Now, I said if the goal is to be a success, and this is important, a success to me does not mean making money. It could. But I said if you want to run a nonprofit, so you know when you do your project, the people who run nonprofits, they don't make a lot of money. Most of them don't. Some of them, very few do, but most of them don't. They do it because they're trying to give back, or for religious reasons, or they want to do something good with their life. They don't give a shit about buying nice cars. It's not what they motivate. And there's probably people in here like that. They're not motivated by material things. So when I say be a success, it could be making 40 grand at a nonprofit, which isn't a lot of money, or I could be making 400 grand running a hedge fund or doing a bank thing. So it depends. It depends on every individual, okay? So regardless of what it is, because of your technology skills and how you guys grow up and what you know and how your parents, I mean, I can go on and on and on. My parents were from freaking Italy. So the first time I got a job was at Sunbeam. My first job was a product manager. I had a good job when I got my master's. And you wear sport coats to work. So my mother bought me a sport coat, tweed sport coat. It had the label on the sleeve. Okay? I wore that damn thing for like 6 months with the label on the sleeve because we didn't know you're supposed to cut the label off. You know, stuff like that. Today, you laugh. Today, that seems stupid. But in my time, that wasn't stupid because we were naive. I was naive. My parents definitely were naive. Okay? So you guys started second base, in my opinion. So for me to be a success, if I was a success, I had to go first base, second base, third base, and score. You guys already started second base, in my opinion. You skipped first base because of technology. The problem is, in my opinion, and I'm sure there's people like this in this class, you think you're really smart, and you are. But see, there's homeless shelters are full of smart people. You know, if you want to be a success, there's skills, interpersonal skills, work ethic, analytical. These skills were needed 50 years ago and they're needed today. So even though you guys start, if you don't develop these other skills that will make you a success, you stay on second base and you won't be a success. Work ethic is a big problem with your generation, for instance, compared to mine. I was working in factories when I was 15. There ain't too many 15-year-olds working in factories in this generation. Does that answer your question? Sure? Anybody else got that? Because it's kind of a complicated thing. It's got nothing to do with marketing. You guys kind of understand it? It's sort of like a motivational thing. Yeah.
I know, are you using that as your generation? Because
Yes.
when I'm looking at our generation, that's the generation, it seems more like requirement for starting line hasn't moved. We're not starting on second base, but this is first base. More opportunities because now everyone has those opportunities. Everyone started with them. It's not like we're other people in our generation. Other things are second, third.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's not exactly what I'm saying. So I'm looking at it as what you bring to the party, and I'm looking at generationally. So it is my generation. I'm just making this my generation versus yours, or whatever, generation versus generation. It's got nothing to do about opportunities. It's got to do with how you look at your life and how you do work as an employee, and what skills you develop. A lot of people in your generation do not have work ethic. They don't work hard. So I'm just generalizing, okay? Or they think computers are the way to become successful. Computers are not the way to be successful. Computers are a tool. Now, some people in here could do an app, or they could go work in IT, Great. But the vast majority of people in these classes, vast majority, technology is a tool to be a success. So you've got the tools. You've got this technology thing. But my point is, if you don't develop these skills, you're going to stay at second base. You're never going to score. Do you have it? It's kind of a complicated, I don't know. I got to figure a way to make this simpler because I think it's right on from my old man perspective. Okay? Jake, you okay? Any questions? Anybody else questions? Yes, sir.
SWOT analysis.
Yep.
I wrote down opportunities are outside of your power. Can you elaborate on that?
So strengths and weaknesses have to do with your own company. Opportunities and threats have to do outside the company. So opportunity, could be growth in another marketplace. It's got nothing to do with your company. You're growing into the marketplace. A threat could be a competitor against you. You've got no control over that. So strengths and weaknesses are supposed to be internal, and opportunities and threats are external. Other questions, you guys? Is that it? You guys cool? I'm going to the online. This is it. Online people. Is there questions that you have that you'd like to ask that we didn't already talk about? Is it going to be a lockdown or just a normal test? I don't know what that means. What's lockdown mean?
Like a monitor software on your computer that like locks your screen and records you while you're taking the test.
It does what?
It like records you and it locks your screen on the one test page.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you go if you like going back and forth. Yeah, I think you go back and forth. I'm sorry, Evan. I don't think it's a lockdown, whatever that means. All right. What else you guys got online? What else you guys got online? Woo! That's it? No questions from the people online. Okay. Okay, so last chance, anything? Well, Sophia, Q-score. You guys remember Q-score? I didn't spend a lot of time on this, but that's a great question, and it's relevant. You know Q-scores? You guys remember Q-scores? So Q-score, Lady Gaga, I think, has like the highest Q-score, I think. Lady Gaga. And I don't know what the hell, I don't know, just make up a number. Say it's 100. I don't know what Q-scores actually are, but this idea is she's 100. So let's talk about Beyonce. She might be a 90. Let's talk about Gwen Stefani. She's an 80. And down to Debbie Billups. Are you guys fans of Debbie Billups? I hope not, because I just made her up. She's a 10. Okay? And what the Q scores are so relevant is the higher the Q score, the more money they're paid to promote your product. Okay? So Lady Gaga, to get Lady Gaga to promote your product, you're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars. So say you had well, first of all, Lady Gaga only does products that she believes in. A lot of people, you guys know, a lot of celebrities, they promote products that they don't even believe in. I think Lady Gaga only does products that she believes in. So let's say it's a deodorant. For her to promote this deodorant is in this case, she would be $100. Where if you went to Gwen Stefani and she did the same deodorant, you'd have to pay her $80. So a Q score, the Q score means how expensive it is to get a celebrity to promote your products. And it's got to do with their popularity. Yes. Well, followers on Facebook, for instance, you know, and with not just Facebook, followers on internet, period. You know, so the more followers you have, or the better image you have with the media, or the, you know, people love Lady Gaga. You know, it's that's why she has such a high Q score. But you are right about using the product. The problem is, you know what the problem is with that? It's very rare that you know whether the person uses, you know, you see a celebrity, you know, pushing some product or an advertisement for the product. I don't know how you necessarily know they believe in it. Yep. So what's the answer to this? What's your answer? You know what the answer is. What's the answer? No, buddy. No, because if it's determined by the person, why wouldn't everybody be Lady Gaga's score? It's just like what you said before. So it's the market decides it. You know, somebody says that Lady Gaga is the best person to endorse products. The market says that because of her followers, because of what people think about, the fact she uses the products, whatever it is, the fact she doesn't do a lot of advertisements. All that would raise her Q score. She's not doing it. It's well, what she does is the reason for the Q score, right? But she doesn't say, "Oh, I want a Q score of 100." You know what I mean? Everybody wants to get their Q score the highest, whatever that takes, because then you're paid more.
You're saying, are there like advertising or whatever department firm that go in and rate celebrities?
Yes.
So what is their job title?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know who does Q scores.
They
But there's
are-
people do it. Yeah.
So it's not. So it's like, yes, it is from the market. The market decides, okay, follow this, appreciate her, praise her, and decide or not. But they're actually posting their score somewhere to the outside.
That's correct. Yep. And it's, you know, it's not cutting, you know, it's not in cutting cement, but it's a directional thing. That's a good example up there. In this case, Lady Gaga is worth that much more than Beyonce and that much more than Gwen. And again, it's not made in cement, but you know that if you're going after Lady Gaga, you better have a lot of money. Internet people, anything else? What do I do? Oh, no. This? This? Ah, look at you guys. Still just static. That movie was crazy. I assume you're talking about Social Dilemma. I don't want to know about your other movies you watch. I already shut mine off. Nick, way to go. Taking time off from social media. It's not, yeah, taking time off is kind of one thing. It's I don't know about taking time off if that's the right word. Just, you got to watch what you're doing. I mean, you just got to watch what you're doing. What's the ratio of multi-choice to true false? Very good question, Nick. It's going to probably be half and half. It'll probably be 20 and 20. 20 multiple choice, 20 true false. Is the test going to be via lockdown browser or not? I don't think it is. Can you explain Q? Is the Hershey value example going to be at a test? So that was basically how the product brings value to the customer, consumer. That's correct. So Cynthia, that's right. So we talked about the Hershey candy, and that's the example the book gave about the value Hershey candy gives. A lot of, you know, Hershey candy is not only sold because of the taste of the chocolate, it's sold because of the packaging. It's sold because it looks like a kiss. You know, people buy that for different reasons. So that's right. What kind of value does the customer or consumer get from that particular product? Can you explain the 4 Ps? Oh, so okay, so the whole course is based on the 4 Ps, you guys. The whole course. So thanks for asking the question, whoever asked it. 1 P, what is it? Price. What's another one? Okay. Place. Okay, promotion. So when it comes to selling a product or a service, you have to address the 4 P's in marketing. So everything you do to sell a product or a service is one of the 4 P's. And that's one of the cool things about this class, I think, is because it covers so many subjects that it's at the end of the course, I hope you'll understand about how I bought that jacket. How the hell did I buy that jacket? What went into me buying that jacket? And what went into it is the 4 P's. So one, this is easy, price. Now let me make a comment. I'll say it now, so I don't forget. On your project, when you talk about nonprofits, the way I define price also has to do with saving cost. Okay, so in the project, if you talk about the 4 P's, you have to expand the definitions. So price, for instance, is not only, because most nonprofits don't charge, some charge, but most of them don't. So price has to do with how can I save money? How can I be more efficient? So it's not just a price, it's got to do with financials, all right? So in this case, price, and we're going to spend a lot of time on price in this class. I told you it's one of my favorite subjects, so that's coming up after the midterm. But price has to do with how something is sold. Product has to do with all the functionality of the product, what it looks like, how big it is, what color it is, blah, 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 right? And if you make a mistake and you build a backpack that's 3 feet by 2 feet, you're going to have problems. You know what I mean? So product has to do with what the actual product, the functionality of the product. Place has to do with distribution. Again, we're talking about that after the midterm. So if my jacket that I've got here, how the hell did that get in my hands? So it's very complicated. We're going to talk about that in terms of the various ways that jacket got to my hands from the manufacturer. Could have went to a million different places, right? So distribution, and they use the word place because they wanted 4 P's. It's got to do with the distribution of products to get to the end user. And the last thing is promotion. So promotion's got to do with all the stuff we talked about last couple of days, advertising, public relations. The last 2 days of class, we're going to talk about sales. The sales function is a big part of marketing. So all that's got to do with promotion. So the 4 P's have to do with everything really that gets a product in a consumer or customer's end user's hands. Does that help? The whole class is based on the 4 P's. You guys good with that? Who asked that question? Salvador, is that cool, man? It's got to be cool, Salvador. It's 3 minutes after 9. What? Yep. Okay, we're good. All right, thank you, buddy. Shelby, besides reviewing our notes, how do you suggest we study? So, again, the notes, Shelby, watch your notes. Try to really pay attention to the notes. And how you study, like I said before, it's important to understand concepts. Like the questions I thought today were really good. I think that they were more conceptual comments. So I try not to be picky in terms of the questions I ask. I try not to be picky, but I'm sure I will be. Sophia, can you go over perceived benefits versus perceived costs? Okay, that's great. So, so perceived benefits is why somebody buys a product. What benefits does it give them? So when somebody buys let's say a car, I think we use this lady's over here. She had bought a 2015 car. So you buy a car, right? So somebody who's like 19 years old or 18 years old, 17, whatever, the perceived benefits of buying a car to one person might be transportation, obviously. But to another person, it might represent independence. To another person, it might represent status. So the reason you buy cars, everybody's buying car, not everybody, but there's multiple reasons why people buy a car. So if you're marketing to, I'm just making this up. If you're marketing to somebody who looks at it as a status symbol, your advertising and your marketing would be around the fact that this car provides status to you. You're not talking about the other stuff because they don't give a shit about that. They care about status in this case. Perceived costs have to do with so the cost of you buying a car is the cost you pay for the car, but in addition to that, it's got to do with the time you spend on research, the time if you buy it on the internet, how long, how much you worry before you get the car. So perceived costs have to do, the cost of buying a product or buying a service is greater than just what you pay for the product or service. And next time you buy something, think about that. A major purchase. Think about the stress and think about how much research did you put into it? How long did it take you to get the product, on and on and on. So, could you pay for it on credit card? Was there terms, which we're going to talk about later on. So the perceived costs have to do with more than just paying for a product. Anything else, you guys, on the online? All right. Good luck on Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Same back time.